Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and whatever else you want to call yourself. Doku has some things he would like to say, and to be honest, I have a tiny thing to talk about. And no, it's not my dick. Don't get funny ideas. Or yours, Doku.
Well, when you lead off like that, how do I follow up?
That's what she said. Go on.
I was going to make that joke, but
Hmm.
I'll let you take the low hanging fruit this time. Just gotta let that one stand as is.
Are you saying that it's up to me to get the big, long, low hanging ones? Is this what you're telling me?
You know, even a giraffe might be envious at that dad joke.
Hmm.
Well, that's not even a dad joke. That's a playground joke. Let's be honest.
It is, and I am totally comfortable with that statement. But
Yeah.
try and bring it back to sense after all the rubbish I've said. Go on, impress me.
Well, this is going to be a really difficult 5 minutes to get through the family friendly thing. I don't even. Do you think the 5 minute family friendly thing even still works on the YouTube algorithm? Like,
Honestly, the rumor is yes. Do I believe it? Not overly, but you know what? I'll jump through their hoops for exactly 3 minutes and 30 seconds longer, counting now. But until then, I'm happy to play their calm, quiet, controlled voice. I have nothing I have a problem with. If you'd like, I would just. No, actually, I can't really discuss mine because mine has certain images that involve things that would get us automatically shot
you
on
know,
YouTube. Our
it,
Mazza would not be impressed.
it's kind of annoying that we have to just go through 5 minutes, but everything after that 5 minutes, it would be an instant ban. It, I'm still surprised. Person who does not exist but also exists that likes to read news stories got banned before we did.
I know, I'm really depressed at that. Oh, it's from him that I got the archive that I sent you.
That doesn't surprise me. I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was from the Lotus Eaters that I saw their video talking about it.
Ah, you know what? I kind of like the Lotus Eaters, I've got to say. I mean, I'm not going to say that they're, amazing or anything, but they're not bad.
I was iffy at first, but I don't know. They feel like they found kind of a nice, I guess, rhythm would be an appropriate term.
Yeah. And it's not actually because of Sargon. He is unimportant, to put it bluntly. He is just another dude.
Yeah, I have noticed that when they very first started, it was basically the Sargon show, but now it seems a lot more balanced, which I guess is kind of why I like it because I don't. So this is part of the thing that annoys me about Tim Pool's podcast or live stream, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
is Tim Pool talks at least 25% more than everybody else, including the guest, and it's like, dude, we hear you all the time. Like, let the guests talk more. Like, and I get it. This is coming from someone who talks way too much, but.
Can you see the hypocrisy there, though?
Well, at least I recognize the fact that I talk way too much and I try to actually shut my freaking trap from time to time, but Temple doesn't do that.
No, actually, that's a completely fair statement. Did you hear about them getting DDoSed?
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. Like I still stand by my statement that the reason that they're getting the type of flack that they are is because they dared to platform MTG. I don't know why people have anything against Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
jokes aside, I really do think that they're just salty because Marjorie Taylor Greene gets banned off Twitter, and Temple's like, okay, fine, let's platform Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's gonna get some people upset.
Yeah, well, is what it is. Let's be completely honest. You
On
know,
when you have a CNN losing like 90% of their viewers, I can understand that some people might view Temple as a bit of a threat.
it's hilarious to think that little Tim, nice but dim, is being considered a threat. I mean, how bad is the world where that's the case?
I mean,
Honestly.
the whole joke was that he's as milk toast fence sitting as you can get, but I guess he's kind of, I don't know if he has become more shall I say based, or if the overt window has just continued to shift, because I remember when
Yep.
I very first ran or stumbled across Temple. Yeah, he was still fairly moderate liberal leaning, but now he might as well be right wing extremist.
You mean one of us, by the way. You mean fucking one of us, don't you?
Oh, thank fucking God.
Okay.
That 5 minutes is always so damn annoying.
I know it is. All yours. Before you do, Sharati, what, may I ask, are you wittering about? Oh, oh, right. She wants. I'm going to take this one. You can have your shout and fit in a minute. Okay. Yes, Sharati. In Britain, the military are being put in to assist in the hospitals because of so many nurses are going out sick with the air quotes coof. Is it a good idea? Hey, you never know. It might make the hospitals actually work orderly for once. I don't know if it's going on in your country, Doku. I'm sorry, mate. I've not seen it, but it might well be. Oh, in the USA as well. Okay.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
talked
actually
about
know.
yeah, they talked
Go-
about wanting to use the National Guard to assist with
to-
hospitals that for some reason are overwhelmed because I don't know, laying off hospital staff definitely didn't have anything to do with that.
Just call them Toy Army, not National Guard.
Yeah, call them what you want. At this point in time, they're basically healthcare workers, so it's like shit. I signed up to defend the land, and now here I am administering jabs to people. Probably not
Did
what the majority signed up for.
Fair point. Did you hear about the absolute genius that your president said about people with money? So I'm trying to be as subtle to check what you say, expecting you to say no. Are you ready?
Yeah, he said quite a few things over the past couple of days, so
Oh
just
no, no, this one's a good one. This one is a real good one. Okay. It's a good thing that people don't have money. That way they can't afford to buy cars.
you're joking.
Oh, sorry. Did I say bum tish? My mistake.
No, no, I can't. I
Yeah,
don't believe this. No,
yeah.
chat is he telling the truth? Am I being trolled?
I wish I was actually joke. Well, if you're being trolled, I'm being trolled because I'm just repeating what I was informed of. The absolute horror when I heard this, I did not know. I actually thought the same as you. They're joking because they have to be. I mean, how the crap does the president actually say that? Uh,
I mean, I'm inclined to believe you
mm-hmm.
because I remember seeing this would have been like what, a day or two ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So across my my Twitter timeline, I do remember seeing some memes talking about money and cars, but I didn't pay it any attention because I thought it was
Oh,
just
you should have.
well,
If
I didn't
it's
know.
true, you really should have. This is one of those moments. Hello, Sharati. You'd like to give us your opinion, I bet.
No. As a matter of fact, what I'd like to say is Biden said we can either mass produce vehicles and lower the price, or we can make people more poor.
Did you hear
Uh,
that, Doku?
uh,
Yes.
uh,
He said the quiet part out loud.
I oh boy. Oh, all
Yep.
right. I didn't think I was gonna need a cigarette, but shit. If I die of lung cancer, I'm blaming Biden.
It's probably. Let's be fair. If you
Jen
die of lung
Psaki
cancer,
couldn't even say anything when Peter Ducey called her on it.
So I just want to make sure I understand this 100% clearly.
yes.
we can either mass produce cars to lower the price, or we can make people more poor.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
He said the quiet part out loud, and Jen Psaki couldn't even write it off.
so aside from the absurdity of such a statement, I have one fundamental problem with this.
Okay. Only one, but go on.
It's kind of a big one.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to mass produce cars to lower the price of cars so they're more affordable, right?
Theoretically.
So we're assuming that cars as they are right now are not affordable.
No, it's because cars as they are now produce too much pollution, I believe.
That and anything that is literally made in America has a 30% upcharge because it is made in America.
So this is kind of the elephant in the room for me. So
Okay.
I'm assuming he's talking about electric vehicles. I'm going to make that assumption.
I don't know. I'm actually going to hold my hands up there. I do not know for definite.
Neither do I. It's Biden we're talking about, but I'm going to assume he's talking about electric vehicles because I'm guessing this is part of like an emissions, global warming, typical talking point type of thing. So electric vehicles are too expensive, which by the way, they're not. Have you seen the price of a freaking Prius?
No.
Now, replacing the batteries, yeah, that's expensive. But the cars themselves, no, they're freaking cheap. They just don't look very nice. But that aside, that's irrelevant to where I'm going. How is making people poorer going to help them get anything, electric car or otherwise?
No. The idea is that if they're poorer, they haven't got the money to get cars, and so they won't want any. You'll end
It's
up with
going to
nothing, and you'll be
inevitably
happy
make
with it.
people poorer anyways because they're not taking into account putting in all the charging stations alongside these roads.
Oh, I have that too.
I mean, I guess if you forced people to the point of poverty where their only option is like public transit or ride a bicycle, not that would work for the vast majority of Americans, but you might have a bit of an argument there if you're that willing to be a totalitarian dick about it. But still, I don't see how making people poorer is going to help them buy electric vehicles. And oh, by the way, that public transit, last I checked, the majority of it is not an electric vehicle fleet. So I don't see how this solves the problem you're setting out to solve. It just doesn't seem like a good solution in any way, shape, or form.
I have one question for you, Doku. Has this completely derailed the train of thought that you had wandering?
No, unfortunately, it actually kind of adds into it because I was
awesome.
going to suggest the title of the stream is "Common Sense is Dead," and you morons are the ones that killed it.
Not bad. Sorry, I think I do like mine though. There is a certain something about it.
It's far more subtle. It works. So, but to answer your question, no, it hasn't derailed anything. It's actually, if nothing else, added to the sheer amount of irritation and vitriol that I've been feeling over the past couple of weeks. But
you go for it, mate.
Yeah, well, but before we get into that, let's talk about your story because I find this one hilarious.
Oh yes.
Alright. I just wanted to say that to make sure that it was straight and to the point, but I'm leaving now. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Later, Shirati.
Right.
And thank you for the clarification.
Yes. I'm glad we had an American here to actually clarify it a little bit for you. As I say, it was just one of those in passing things that I saw. I'm glad she was able to detail it more. Now, my story. Yes. We're talking about the individual who decided to break down the statue standing outside the BBC in London. Now, the statue was made by a gentleman who has one or two sexual deviances. Now, under normal circumstances, I'm of the, we're not going to cause any problems here. But no, this guy needs to have both of his knackers stapled to his ears.
Jensen, don't sugarcoat it. The dude not only had Not only did he engage in a promiscuous things involving his two teenage daughters, from what I've heard,
Yep.
he did it with his freaking dog.
Oh, that. Yeah, well.
Like what the hell, dude? It's like, oh, he's a controversial artist. He banged his two daughters and his dog. Of course he's controversial. He freaking oh my god.
But I've also found out recently, apparently a lot of people actually use stuff connected with him. Apparently he's in some way one of the fonts you can get on your computer. You know about this?
I was not aware.
Yeah, there's a font connected to him, so yeah, who knows? Maybe people use it, maybe people don't. Now, don't get me wrong, not by any freaking stretch of the imagination do I think that the guy deserves to have his statue up there. But, and here's the point, it was in front of the BBC. You know, defund the BBC, moderately well-known quote, one or two people say it. Was he doing it because it was a defund the BBC? Was he doing it because the guy was a pedo? Or was he doing it as a version of screw Eunice to the courts? After all, they made it apparently so as the people that destroyed the statue in Wales of, I think his name's Coulsdon or something, who at one point was a slave owner. They smashed the statue, dragged it to the local river, and bunged it in, and got away with it. So yeah. So you got three reasons as to why he may or may not have done it. I wonder which one it was. If not, an interesting mix of all of them.
I mean, it's not like the guy said, I believe he called the British police pedo defenders.
That too. But let's get blunt, they are.
Yeah, well, where did Grizzly Maxwell come from?
Where did Jimmy Savile come from? Oh, did I say that out loud? Whoops, my bad.
Oh, it's not like Epstein and Maxwell might or might not have had ties to the royal family or certain individuals within the royal family, and also Hollywood, pop star cultures, rock stars, etc., etc. You know, that the upper echelon of society where you can do things blatantly illegal and somehow still not get arrested. Look at you, Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I'm assuming you've heard what's happened to, and I'm actually going to get to say this, and I want you to think carefully what I said. Andrew, not Prince Andrew, Andrew.
Yes, I did hear about that. And by the way, we might have a third guest coming in here at some point in time.
Okie dokie.
But yes, I did hear about that, and the only thing I can say is took you fucking long enough.
Do you know what? You can say what you like about Andrew, and trust me, I know people that would love to say lots of things, but I'm going to stick with the innocent until proven guilty for one simple reason. If he's proved guilty, that's when you drop the shit show on him. Until then, you have to run with the innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I have to stand by my convictions. You are correct. Until he is proven guilty in a court of law, he is innocent.
Yes.
And okay, this is a complete aside, not part of our regularly scheduled programming, but Matt, did the Supreme Court actually block the mandates? Because if they did, wow.
I have heard about. I think that they were. I don't know if they had, but cool.
The last thing I heard, and this was several hours ago, so I could be wrong. My information might be outdated, but I heard they weren't going to rule on it today.
Okay.
But if they did, then thank God. It's one last thing I have to worry about.
Apparently, yep, it's fresh off the presses. So cool. Thank you, Matt.
Well, there we go. That's some good info.
Yeah.
Because considering the other topics we have lined up for everybody, we need some good info.
Yeah. Thing is, though, okay, and I know this is me crapping on your president, but do you know what? I'm going to anyway. He's not going to care that it's been banned. He's going to do it anyway. How do we know this? Because he did last time with the giving out money to people. He doesn't give a shit about what the law is in your country. He's going to do he's going to do what he's told to do, and that's it. You know it, and I know it. The courts can say what they like. He's just going to go no. And the worst thing is you can't actually touch him because apparently he can just write out an immunity.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the way it works. But
Question: Actually, no. I'm going to pick your brain now. Does this mean? Okay, and I am going to go totally reductio absurdum on this. I've got no argument. I'm not disagreeing here, but could he literally get it into his brain to get in his car, go out and start shooting people on the street and write himself an immunity?
I'm actually not sure how that works. I actually don't know. I have no idea. I've never even considered it.
It's just a thing, because technically, then because if this is the case, then he could literally get into a car, go down, shoot Trump, go back, write up an immunity, and go, yeah, what you gonna do, bitch?
And of course, YouTube, this is all hypothetical. So before you get a little trigger happy there, no pun intended, calm the hell down.
Yeah, according to Candid, no, they can't. Good.
Yeah, I don't think you would be able to, but again, it's something I've never even considered or thought of. So decent question.
Okay, just a thought. And according to Nerd, Biden lost 6-3.
Oh, okay, wow. So, I was expecting it to be 5-4, but hey. But let's be honest. That just means he can't use OSHA to enforce it. He'll find something else because, as you previously stated, he doesn't really care how the courts rule. He flat out said it several months ago himself, like, yeah, the court said that this is unconstitutional, but I'm going to do it anyways, and they'll just have to shoot it down again. So they'll reword it, or they'll find like some other way to try to. I won't say enforce it because that's what the OSHA thing was direct enforcement via the federal government, but they'll use coercion, as they have been for the past year. So
don't forget, your country was built around the idea of not allowing a monarchy. Having somebody with the ability to just change the laws at a whim, however they so. Oh, that sounds like something that's going on right now.
that was one of 3 different topics that I was going to touch on.
Awesome, all yours.
So we have the
touch it good.
Damn it, Jensen. So we have the Voting Rights Act that is currently trying to be force fed through Congress, because let's be honest, that's what's happening. They're trying to force it through because, well, when you don't get your way, change the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Even though historically the filibuster has actually benefited the Democratic Party more than it has the Republicans, but let's ignore that part. We have power right now. Yeah, good. So this is actually kind of a 2-tiered topic.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, because it's going to be faster and I can get it out of the way. This is the same type of mentality that people who argue for censorship end up trapping themselves with, because okay, you get rid of the filibuster. Now, entertain this hypothetical situation. Let's say that they do get rid of the filibuster. They ram through this Voting Rights Act. They put complete control of how elections are conducted in the hands of the federal government, ability to override any state law they want. They get rid of voter ID, they mandate universal vote by mail, and they secure ballot harvesting.
Okay.
Well, let's say they do that. And despite all of that, let's say the Republicans still win the House and the Senate, and then they turn around, get rid of ballot harvesting, reinstate voter ID, and also ban universal vote by mail, and then reinstate the filibuster.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally just reverse everything that they did, and then at the end of it, reinstate the filibuster so that the Democrats can't do anything about it. Can you imagine the absolute meltdown people would have?
Yep. I'm going to say it. Didn't they basically do that when Biden walked in and he just wrote out all them bits of paper that said, ignore what Trump said? which is pretty much what those bits of paper said.
Kind of, but that's executive order. It's not quite the same thing because, again, those are executive orders versus this would be, this would be actual legislative law. So it wouldn't just be an executive order. It'd be, no, this is a law on the books. You can't do vote by mail or universal vote by mail. It has to be an absentee ballot that you have to request. You have to provide proof of identification. Let's even take it a step further. You also have to provide proof of residency. While we're at it, let's clean up the voter registration rolls. Let's also put the citizenship question on the census so we know how many legal voters there actually are in the United States. And also, we're going to put voter ID back in place. And then once all those laws are on the books, passed through the House and the Senate, it's stamped and everything, now we're going to put the filibuster back in place. Have fun. It's all.
Yeah, but that would be quite. I mean, okay, different country, different rules, but that would be an absolute shit show, and you know it.
Oh, people would lose their absolute minds. I mean, they're cheering this on right now. Like, yes, let's weaponize the elections clause, which, as we were talking about earlier in the backstage, but I'll restate it again, states that the federal government does have some authority to exercise over the states and how elections are conducted, but it's done from the sense that, let's say one state, Wyoming, for example, decides, we know it's a presidential and congressional election, but we're just not going to hold one. Well, the government can come in and say, all right, well, we're going to hold one for you. This is for the state of Wyoming. Either you do it or we do it. So that's what the election clause is there to prevent from happening. One state from completely ironically, filibustering or undermining, stymieing, whatever word you want to use, the federal election process. Okay. It's not there so the federal government can completely take control of all United States elections, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to say that you requiring someone to show proof of identification and proof of residency is somehow leading or creating unfair elections. Therefore, the federal government has to step in and make sure that, no, you have to let everyone vote and they don't have to show ID. It's their right to vote. It's the right of the citizen. And guess what? Every citizen has a freaking social security number. Don't tell me that you can't figure out your social security number and then go give that to someone who's at the election polls and give that to them to prove that you're a U.S. citizen and also a resident of the state. Because that is a bullshit argument.
Shall I point out that apparently New York has got it so as non-natives in New York can actually vote in it? You heard about that, right?
Yes, I did, and that should be. I'm pretty sure it is blatantly unconstitutional. And I don't know what the hell they're thinking. Voting is the ultimate right of the citizen, and you're just going to give it away to everyone. Guess what? You're basically stating to all U.S. citizens and the rest of the world that sovereignty means nothing, citizenship means nothing. Just, I don't know, let frickin' Boris from fucking Russia or frickin' Yugoslavia just vote in U.S. elections while you're at it.
Yeah, do they not realize the distinct possibility of, I don't know, I'm just going to throw an idea out? I mean, I'm not trying to put blame on anybody. I'm making that statement now, but couldn't someone called, I don't know, Vladimir, who may or may not be in Moscow, could possibly get some people to do some voting for him? How many people are in Russia again? Quite a few, isn't it?
See, this is what I'm talking about. These absolute morons don't realize that they're actually opening Pandora's box. Guess what? The same tools that you're trying to use to cement and solidify your own power can be used against you, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Again, that's why I brought up the thing. Let's say that even with this Voting Rights Act, if it goes through and the Republicans take the Senate, they're just going to reverse everything, but then make it worse for the Democrats because now you actually have to provide proof of ID. You can't ballot harvest anymore, which, let's be fucking honest, that's the only reason Orange County in California isn't red. Every single time that they've had a fucking election, it's red all the way up until the fucking ballot harvesting comes in, then immediately flips fucking blue. Hey,
hon.
Hey, Syntax. But yeah, but that's what annoys me about these individuals. They say, well, we're trying to secure voting rights, but at the same time, we also care about election integrity. No, you don't. The only thing you care about is winning.
We have sound. She exists.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah.
Hey,
Hey, how are you guys?
I'm
Good. How
all
are you
right.
doing?
Good. I was actually going to the gym, and then I got your message, and I was like, "Oh, that's so much more fun."
Oh no, we're just send his sacrifice personal health to come onto this god awful show.
I have, and you guys are talking about harvesting organs.
No, well, you might as well
I
be, but no,
like it.
we were talking
Oh.
about ballot harvesting.
Oh, I thought we were talking about organ harvesting.
I can happily change the conversation to that. That will really not be a problem for me.
We'll be here for a few hours if that happens.
No, yeah, dude, we're only going to be here for a couple of hours because you're going to be coming up with recipes, and you know it.
I will
Oh.
neither confirm nor deny.
I don't know. I've been looking at pictures of his food, and it looks delicious.
Fair.
But no, just to catch you up, Sin, we were talking about the voter ID bill that they're trying to pass through the Senate currently, which would basically put all election procedures in the hands of the federal government, thus ensuring that every election will be the 2020 election in perpetuity. Because let's be blunt, they know they can't keep the COVID fear mongering going for another 3 years until the next presidential election. So they need the universal vote by mail. They need the ballot harvesting, and they're terrified of voter ID. I wonder why.
Isn't there so much irony in the fact that they're so against voter ID and it's supposedly discriminatory and it creates barriers, but they're so on board with people having to carry their vaccine card and prove their vaccine status? And I'm like, what the heck? It's such a double standard.
Well, it's even funnier when you consider the fact that the majority of the unvaccinated population in America happen to be Black Americans. So, by their own logic, isn't vaccine mandated vaccination identification technically racist? If we're keeping the logic consistent.
No, because then, because you have to twist it to your narrative. Then it would be minorities are facing the effects of racism, and that's why they're under-vaccinated, is because of stereotypes and barriers to access or what. They cook it however they want it.
But then if that's the case, vaccinations are free as provided by the federal government. So then doesn't that mean the federal government then by itself is inefficient? Therefore, we should not have federal government mandates and put it in the hands of the private sector?
Wait. Are you saying to me that our federal government is inefficient?
No.
I would never suggest such a thing ever in my life. Please don't make me break rocks for the rest of my days.
One moment. Sin, I put a message in the chat in Discord. You may find it entertaining.
Oh, I'll have to look. Oh no, I'm gonna look. I didn't realize you're on Twitter. You're not really busy on Twitter.
Me, no, I hardly do anything on Twitter. I go on there, I check it pretty much once, maybe twice a day.
Did you see my Beyond sausage, the sausage that's not real meat? Did you see that, Doku?
I don't think I did, actually.
Oh my
Me
gosh.
neither.
You guys got to look, because when you so it comes frozen and it kind of looks like a cylindrical sausage-esque thing of fake meat. But if you defrost it and you defrost it standing up, it looks exactly like a geriatric, shriveled, uncircumcised penis.
Oh wait, I did see that. I just didn't remember it was you that posted it.
Yeah, no, so I saw the meme and I was like, oh, we need to see if we can replicate this. So I took it home and I defrosted it standing up and it worked. And then to go a step further, I didn't want to have it lose its shape when I cooked it, because I wanted it to have that penis shape when I cooked it. And then, so I did, and it worked. It was glorious.
I've got to say this, Doku, Ramsay Bolton, ring any bells? Just saying.
Phantom limbs.
Phantom limbs.
And Sin, if you can find me on Twitter, do invite me. I'm more than happy to. Okay.
Oh no, I'll find you.
It's the same icon.
I will hunt you down.
You know, I've heard that a surprising amount of time. Usually it's people holding weapons while saying it, but I have heard it.
In the bedroom?
I'm not saying my girlfriend hasn't also said this, but you know.
Oh,
It
sorry,
is.
sorry. I so digressed. Okay, so yes, I don't understand. Well, I think that the main goal is for people to maintain power and to get more power. And so if you want to seek power, you're either in the federal government or you control it with bribes or whatever it is that you do. So yeah, the voter ID laws, I think they not having requirements really helps them gain their power, because then they can just, push their agenda and their narrative.
Well, so part of the reason I actually even really wanted to talk about this, and it's funny that you're here, Sen. I was actually having this back and forth debate, like, look, voter ID laws are not racist. Like, I'm sorry, they're not racist. You can't make the argument to me that Black Americans don't have access to a driver's license or a walking ID or anything like that, or they don't.
I think it's insulting.
Oh, it is. But at the same time, it's like you're telling me that they can't memorize their social security number, something that you're given at birth as an American citizen. You can't use that. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to hear it. Like, oh, it's voter suppression. No, it's not. You all have a social security number. No one's stopping you from writing it down on a piece of paper and handing it to the person sitting behind the desk at the polling station. Like, nothing is preventing you from that. But these same people. So it was actually someone who's a CEI and metamaterials investor that I was actually having this argument with, but I can clearly.
Oh, I think I can guess who, probably.
I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to put them on blast.
No, that's fine. And I love people with all differing belief systems, but sometimes we just need a little bit more information. And that's why we're here.
Well, I will state that it was probably not the person you're thinking of.
Okay.
But I will admit I got slightly annoyed when it was saying I'm guessing it's a she.
Oh.
Was talking about my president just told all you people off, and you people are basically all domestic terrorists or like worthless, and
oh my gosh,
it's like
it's the division. If you tell somebody that basically if you can dehumanize the other side, I mean that's what we did with segregation and race and everything. If we can say that they're not quite human, if they're terrorists, then they're less of a human, then you can get away with all kinds of stuff.
Oh, it was that use of us, you, my, and we. And it's like, okay, so we're talking about in-group, out-group preference here. So, all right, I already get we're coming from a very tribalistic and very vitriolic standpoint, which is fine by me because I'm equally as aggressive towards the other side because I think they're flaming fucking idiots.
Yeah, but I've seen you when you have these conversations. I mean, maybe you're a little more blunt here, but when you're having these conversations on other social media outlets, you're pretty.
I do my best,
and you're not so abrasive. Yeah,
I try to be measured. When I'm typing, I can at least think about what I'm going to say before I actually say it. But when you get me talking, like, yeah, no, I'm an asshole. I'm not even going to try to hide it. So what this individual was saying to me, though, is like, my president told you all off and you're all domestic terrorists and this and that. It's like, okay, first off, okay, fine. I get it. You think I'm somehow like the scum of the earth. I understand. It's not an uncommon reaction from the ideological opposition to have that sort of response. What I found funny was, and this is the example I used, if person 1 votes Democrat and they're a legal citizen, they're allowed to vote, and person 2, who's not a legal citizen, should not be allowed to vote, votes Republican, person 1's vote just got nullified. It cancels out. And it's still wrong. I don't care what side you're voting for. I care about election integrity. That's it. And then this same individual says, oh, I care about election integrity too. Really now? Do you? Are you sure about that? Are you saying that you're okay with voter ID now? You want the votes to count?
Yeah, but is it like they stack their moral beliefs? Like it becomes okay to engage in voter fraud if I can get these agendas which are more important than voter integrity. Like they rationalize it, like I'm doing the greater good. But I mean, obviously that's not the case. I just don't get it, because if we have nurses who can go out to rural people and give them vaccinations, because, that's important to us to get people vaccinated. If it's important for that, then wouldn't it be just as important to maybe have people who can go out and verify somebody's identification and get them ID'd? Like if they can't get to a place to get an ID, I don't know. I feel like they've created barriers that could be easily undone.
There is actually a way around all this ID suggestion, and I have said this before. And Sharati, if she's still listening, is going to go completely mental. But do you know, if when you have kids, you actually insert a little
Chip?
RFID thing,
A chip in them?
their head.
I knew you were going to say that.
Thank you. And
Jensen's stuck on chips.
No, it's true. You put a chip into their skull, and after all, it won't actually break, because although the skull expands, there are certain parts of the skull that don't actually alter. Predominantly the ones.
Actually, when you're born, your skull contracts, so like it closes. You know how babies have that soft spot?
True.
Yeah.
Well, the point being is that you've got this chip inside your skull. It's got your full ID. And everything's on there. You don't need to worry. And this is the really cool bit with it, okay? If you're absolutely horrifically unlucky enough to get yourself kidnapped, they can scan and find you within seconds and send the police to go and get you. Now, doesn't that sound like a good idea for protecting the children?
That sounds like we watched an Electric Dreams episode. Have you guys seen that?
No, I haven't, but I've actually been saying this for quite a while now, haven't I, Doku?
You have, and you have an argument. It's just an argument that I don't agree with.
No.
I'm
Was
not
he using sarcasm? Like, are you really advocating for chips, or?
What? Right. Okay. Am I advocating for it? No. Do I expect it to happen? Yes.
Okay.
That's the difference.
I could see like biometric scanners, like your eyes. So there was a company that was saying that they're trying to get as many eye scans as possible, and if you scan your eye for them, then they'll give you free crypto. And I'm like, do you know how much privacy you potentially could be giving up for whatever this crypto is? Because I'm wondering if that's going to be like the next fingerprint, right? If they're going to do the eye scans. And
it's a nice idea, but unfortunately, once they've actually developed cyber technology, which I still say that they're actually going for, then the whole biometrics idea won't exist, because after all, an eye can very easily be quite literally replaced at that moment. Whereas, again, you put the chip in the back of the skull, what are you going to do? Rip off the skull? That's kind of a terminal thing, literally.
So just to touch on what Syntax was saying, I wasn't planning on going down this rabbit hole, but since we're here, we might as well.
Do it.
So remember several months back when I forgot who it was, but they were the federal government was talking about essentially nationalizing all private bank accounts.
So like it would be a part of the was it like connected to the IRS?
Yeah, I believe it was the IRS.
Yeah, I remember this.
So this wouldn't just be bank accounts. This would have to do with any investment accounts. So like if you use Fidelity or Charles Schwab or TD Ameritrade, or crypto accounts if you use Coinbase or Binance.
Oh yeah, they're all over crypto.
Well, here's the thing. For me to start a Binance account, just to verify it, because it's FDIC insured, all that, you have to go through the legal loopholes. They have to verify who you are. There's already software that does facial recognition scans where you have to take a picture of your driver's license, and it goes through, it turns green. Then you have to take a picture of you, and they compare the picture of you on the driver's license to the picture you just took. Whether your hair is long, short, you've grown a beard, or you've cut it off, the facial recognition technology can determine whether you are who you say you are. So all they have to do is nationalize that and put it in the hands of the government. Guess what? There you go.
If you're in the United States, because you can use like not Binance.us, you can use the original one with a VPN.
True.
or KuCoin, or it's funny to me because I may have a KuCoin account. The restrictions being a citizen of the United States versus other countries. I don't know. How is it, Jensen, in England? Jensen?
Jensen?
Sorry.
He's going poo.
No, I'd hit the wrong button. My bad. No, I'm a real boy. Right, no, over here, although London is known for being one of the most CCTV connected areas, we think how many people we've also got in London. Okay, and I know you're going to go, oh, well, we've got all this in like New York, or we've got all this in LA. No offense to anybody, but your cities only have 1 or 2 million travel to it every day. We have 16, that is 1.6 million people travel in and out of London every single day. Trying to actually scan each and every one of them would be insanely hard. In all fairness,
The chip
why
is better.
bother? Well, why bother with it? You guys used to carry around an ID system that tells the government where you are, what you're doing, and who you're with at all times. I'm assuming you have a mobile phone.
Well, yeah, technically,
yeah,
we all have our tracking and espionage devices sitting in our pocket pretty much 24/7.
Yeah,
And we do it
if you went
voluntarily.
back- yeah, you went back 25 years, and they said to you, "We would like you to carry around something that will allow the government to listen on you and to know where you are at every moment." You'd go, "Screw you, Jack. No way." Nowadays, you're paying how many $100s? How many $1,000s?
Oh, have you seen
Fascinating
the
things.
COVID apps that can track if you've been around? So, like, if you have COVID, then you
Yeah,
mark it.
The contact
the-
tracing.
Yeah, that's interesting too.
That reminds me of something that Zuckerberg allegedly said back in the early days of Facebook. I obviously can't confirm this for myself, so allegedly.
Mhm.
But someone was talking about he wanted someone he knew, I guess, wanted to like email Harvard graduates for some purpose. I'm not sure why. And Zuckerberg was like, "Oh, I could give you an email of a bunch of Harvard alumni." And he's like, "Well, how do you have the email?" He's like, "I don't know. They just give it to me." It's because they all signed up for Facebook. Like, they didn't even think about it. It's like you're giving your private information to the hands of a private company. All a third party has to do is solicit that private company, and unless it's explicitly stated that they won't share your information, and guess what? You signed the contract. You signed the terms of service. If someone pays enough money, yeah, they could sell out your info. And guess what? How do you think Facebook makes its money? Selling people's private fucking information, or at least bare minimum their analytics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Horrifying, isn't it?
Welcome to the Matrix. No wonder freaking Zuckerberg wants to go forward with this metaverse thing. It's a cash cow. People will do this shit willingly. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still big on metamaterials because it's gonna make me money. But do you think I want to be a willing participant in the metaverse? Hell the fuck no.
What? I'm totally the queen. That's my thing. I'm the queen of the metaverse.
Like I said, I want it to make me
I'm
money
gonna
because
rule
I know
that
a lot
mother.
of people are. I know a lot of people are excited.
dear.
Like, yeah, I want the virtual reality Matrix experience and this and that. People are excited for it. I'm like, no, dude. Like, I mean, yeah, be my guest. Go ahead and engage in it. Make me money. But I don't personally want to be engaged in it. Like, I'm an IT person. Like, I understand that there is a degree of privacy you have to give up in order for the ease of doing business. It's the same way if you want someone to send you email and you don't want to receive paper letters, you have to give them an email address. If you want to receive, well, sorry, real quick. If you want to receive a package from Amazon, you have to tell Amazon where you live. Like, you do have to give up some degree of privacy. But there are lines that I draw, and there's a reason I don't have Facebook, and that metaverse is definitely well beyond my line.
Go on, huh?
As the porn industry gets behind it, that's gonna make the metaverse explode. Just wait. I didn't mean to take this adult-ish, but it's gonna go insane.
You know what? That's actually a funny point because we're already talking about sex robots. I remember where the feminists all got really pissed off.
Wait, we were talking about sex robots?
We have fascinating conversations. We really do.
You really don't need a full robot. I mean,
Oh no,
like
they
a-
have like full body, like full like head to toe sex robots. Like it's
yeah, but
already.
those people are weird. Like, just get yourself a fleshlight and do your thing. Like the full body, that's creepy. It's like a mannequin.
Well, can you imagine if though you put that in the metaverse and it's just whatever you want to see is in front of you? Like Jensen and I was going to have like 12 dozen cat girls.
Cat girls.
I
Wow.
love cat girls. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that you're going to have. Okay, sorry, I keep going back to COVID. I
Mhm.
saw an advertisement for something they were developing. It was a hugging suit, so that if you couldn't hug your loved one because you had like an elderly loved one that was in a care center and you couldn't go visit, then you could each wear this suit, and then it could like replicate a hug, so like you could feel the pressure that the other person was giving. I'm not really sure exactly how it works, but that's what you would have to do for like a full body sex suit, right?
Yeah, but in all fairness, why would you bother with that? Again, crossing over to the more cyber ideal, you're going for sim sense, simulated senses. Why bother with going for a suit when you can literally just link the two minds together, and that's where you get the hug? You're actually feeling it as your own muscles directly contract based on the hug.
Oh
And
no,
by
I was talking about like with the sex thing. So like if you were doing a Catwoman, so
Yeah.
that they would know. I mean, because theoretically, if you were connected to another person in the metaverse, it would work if you could do some kind of like neurological binding. I don't know what you would call it. But if it was like a computer based, like your fantasy that you developed in the metaverse, because you could theoretically,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Create your own avatar Catwoman and like
Oh yeah.
make her. Do you know how much dirt you could grab on people?
Oh yeah, you could blackmail the hell out of people. And no, YouTube, I'm not saying we should do this. This is all hypothetical. Calm down, Susan. But but no, if you could, with significant enough brain scans over enough period of time, and I guess certain implants, transhumanism type stuff, yeah, you theoretically could do this stuff. It reminds me, there was a study, and this was back from like the early 2000s. They had a I forgot what species of monkey. I think it was a chimpanzee, but I could be wrong.
Mhm.
And they basically gave the monkey like a joystick, and they were having it play a game where there's a circle and a dot, and the monkey would have to use the joystick to move the dot to the inside of the circle, and it would get a reward of some sort. And during the time of doing this, they scanned all of the monkey's brain activity and mapped it out. And what they essentially did is once they had a large enough database of the monkey's brain waves, they disconnected the joystick and had the monkey play the same game, except this time they were reading the brain waves, and that's what was actually moving the dot, not the actual joystick, which is impressive in and of itself. The crazy part is that some way halfway through the experiment, the monkey realized that the joystick wasn't moving the dot, so it just stopped using the joystick. It was just moving it with its mind.
Oh dear.
And I'm not joking. This is an actual thing. And this is like almost 2 decades ago that they were doing this. Like, the monkey was smart enough to realize, oh, wait, I'm just thinking that I want the dot to move in this direction, and this thing is reading my brainwaves, so it's going to move the dot. I don't need the joystick anymore. I don't know if most humans would actually have realized that.
Do you know
Terrifying
much
thought.
about neurofeedback?
I've listened to some stuff on it, but I won't say like I'm very well versed at the topic.
Okay, so I was a neurofeedback practitioner for a couple of years. In fact, that's what I was doing at CES, was getting information on that. Neurofeedback and biofeedback. Yeah, I mean, you can. That's actually a project that I'm working on. I'm talking to a VR company. You know Jerry, right? From Tilt 5. She works with George a lot. Meta.
Oh, yep, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So just the idea of, so traditional neurofeedback, you'll use an EEG, right? So you'll get your brainwave signals. And so like, let's say somebody's got PTSD, and you want them to learn to relax. So you want to get them in like an alpha theta state. So typically, like there's a neurofeedback company called Brain Paint, and they'll have like music based neurofeedback. So if you're not training your brain to go in the wavelength that we're trying to do, then you'll get like an unpleasant sound. But once you start learning to get into the wavelength that you're training for, you'll have like a symphony and it'll sound beautiful. So it's that you're conditioning yourself. You can do it with games. Like Heart Math is a heart rate app that you can get for your phone. And it's just learning to lower your heart rate. And then you'll see like all these.
Did she go quiet?
Yeah, Sin, I think we might have lost you there.
Okay. Do you know something? What she's describing there is disturbingly reminding me of Clockwork Orange.
It's
Just
not
saying.
working.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, we got you.
I'm back?
You're back.
Oh.
I mean, and when you think about the level of technology, what we're able to do with it, it's both it's
That's
terrifying.
old tech.
Well, that's the thing. It's terrifying that, again, the stuff we're talking about, I know has been around for at least 2 decades, bare minimum, probably longer.
Yeah.
But it's terrifying what we're able to do with it. But it's also, I mean, yeah, the future is definitely going to. We'll say the future is bright, but again, it's also it's worrisome depending because I mean, you put this technology in the hands of the wrong person
Or children.
or the wrong people, like. I don't know if it's going to have a positive or negative impact on society. I think both outcomes are equally plausible, and I'm over here still waiting on my fucking flying car.
Well, Jerry said that the CEO of Tilt 5, the VR company, she had said that when they were developing games, they were using some neurofeedback in conjunction with the games, and she said it was very scary how addictive it would become when you link it with that, because it just becomes a whole different level.
And so if I'm going to play a predictor on things, I would imagine that the conversation sometime in the next 5 to 10 years is going to shift heavily, much more than it already is, into the question of ethics and what is ethical. I mean, we're already having this conversation with COVID right now, but when it comes to this type of technology, like you're talking about reading brain waves, metaverse, giving up personal information, right to privacy, ethics is going to become a very hot topic of debate, I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
Conversation that's not being had, because I was talking to Jerry about this, about the data. I mean, even if somebody doesn't want to disclose their sexuality, but it's something that they engage in on the metaverse, I mean, that could very easily be exploited. Who's protecting that data? If we have kids, I mean, the Oculus now, it really doesn't have any filtering controls. So
Well, just
yeah.
recently we had something that would bring up the ethics and moral debate with Ted Cruz's daughter apparently coming out saying that she's bi, but she hasn't even told Ted Cruz yet. But it's some LGBTQIA plus, whatever the acronym is. Some publisher for them just dropped it on the internet and it's like, Ted Cruz's daughter is bi. She hasn't told her dad yet. It's like, first off, she's 13. That's the reason that was trending on Twitter. So first off, I don't know why a barely teenager's sexual preferences are newsworthy. They shouldn't be, in my opinion. That's kind of creepy in and of itself. But she hasn't even told her dad yet. No, by the way, this is a minor, but here you are. You have pseudo news sources, and I say pseudo news sources with very big air quotes, reporting on it to the entire fucking world.
Dude, you know that they're going to get rid of the term minor soon. You know it, and I know it. That's what they're fighting to do, and that way you don't have to worry about this, because you giving that information on minors. There's no such thing as minors anymore. Deal with it.
That's scary.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's horrifying. It really is.
The push to normalize, and let's call it what it is. It's not a map. It's not a minor attracted person. They're pedophiles. But they've been pushing to normalize that for God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
What's the age of consent in England?
It's confused. Officially, it's 16. Sort of, it's 18. But you kind of can ignore it if you're within a year or two of the person and can do it younger.
16.
Yeah, I know. You
So
guys,
a
that's
40-year-old
horrifying.
could get with a 16-year-old. It just
No, right, no. Okay, you have to, but basically anything above 18 with a 16-year-old is considered unacceptable.
okay.
But an 18-year-old can get with a 16-year-old legally.
Okay, yeah, there's different stuff like that here.
And last I heard, I don't think this applies to the United States, but I could be wrong. But I think it was either Germany or France. It might have been the UK. I don't think it was. But there is someone trying to make the argument that for religious reasons, yeah, a 30-year-old should be allowed to be with a 12-year-old. Because, I don't know, there's something about religion involved with it, and they're trying to use that as the mechanism to basically normalize pedophilia.
To have child brides.
Yeah. And I believe it had something to do with, it was migrants either from Northern Africa or from Syria. I forget which one it actually was. This was several years ago. I didn't follow up on the case. I didn't pay attention to it, but I know that argument has been made, and it's
to dance
slightly
around
disturbing.
the edge, are you suggesting they're of a certain religious type that you're not actually saying the name of, or are you just...
Well, I'll put this out here because I think I know where you're going with this, Jensen.
And she's gone again.
Yeah.
Just as she started to get into one. That must be frustrating for her.
Yeah, well,
But
we've
am I
both
correct
been
in
there.
what I'm saying, Doku? That these people are distinctly, possibly part of a certain religious group. After all, you stated Northern Africa or in Syria. There are certain religions that you can pretty much put there, aren't there?
Well, I'll simply state that when a Catholic priest does it, it makes headline news and it gets a rather strong negative reaction. But when another religion does it that happens to be as large, if not
peace?
larger, then yeah, the piece seems to like trucks and machetes a lot. When they do it, no. That's just cultural enrichment. But when
That's better. Yeah.
There's a lot of boy rape too.
Oh, I agree completely. In fact, from what I've heard, it's actually considered that once you basically you get married to have a child, and sex should be with a boy. Work that one out.
No, I could see that because I know that there was a lot of active duty military when they were deployed where it was a moral confliction for them because they would be with these foreign nationals who are supposed to be, on our side, and they would be raping little boys, and these military members were instructed not to do anything about it. I mean, what do you do?
Well, I personally lay out a basic, a 2-inch thick, about 10-foot long amount of C4, all nicely rolled out. Pretend it's a bed sheet, and I take away the pain of the little kid.
I mean,
Very suddenly.
I'm pretty sure my sergeant told me that for some reason we're experiencing atmospheric interference and the whole squad just went dark for the next 5 minutes. I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Shitter. It's so sad when that happens.
And it's terrible. The FOB can't figure out what's going on. There's no communication back and forth. It's just a blackout for 5 minutes. Like we're just gonna stand here and do absolutely nothing. I don't know what happened.
That'd be a pity. Yes.
A shame.
Yeah, I was just sitting here chewing my bubble gum and smoking a cigarette. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Must have been wild boars or something.
I don't know. There was a linguist, and he was talking to some tribal members, and the guy had his little boy there, and his little boy was being cranky, and he just started jerking him off. He's like, it makes him feel better. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It's just culturally so different.
But remember, all cultures are equal. There's no such thing as you know what I can't even do that in jest.
No, dude, they're trying to make all cultures equal. That's what this is all about. They would much prefer to drag you down to their level than raise the other people up to the level you're currently at. That's the disturbing part.
As much as I want to disagree with you, you're actually not wrong. It is all about an appeal to the least common denominator, because that's what's the term they're using now? It's not equality, it's equity.
Oh, don't go there.
So if we're gonna make everything equitable, then everybody has to appeal to the least common denominator, which means it doesn't matter how smart you are, you have to be stupid. Otherwise, it's some sort of discrimination. Throw whatever buzzword you want at the window. It'll stick.
Yeah, well.
But the sad part is, as a society, over generations, this started, I always say it started really in the 60s and the 70s, but it's actually been going on a lot longer than that. It's been going on since about the late 1800s, early 1900s. But over the course of many generations, we have actually gotten to this point, and this is actually something I did want to bring up, because it is an important conversation. So we've gotten to this point by normalizing things bit by bit by bit. Like I believe it's Jordan Peterson was saying, if you try to invade somebody's personal space, you can move up to the point where they actually say, no, that's too far. But if you just stand there and they take a step back or two, then you can move an inch or two closer, and then inch or two closer. And then given enough time, they'll be like, well, wait a second, I was standing like 20 feet over there. How'd I get back here? It's like, well, you just involuntarily were taking a step back once or twice every couple of minutes, and now you're here. That's basically what's happened over, again, the course of generations, at least 100 years, if not more, where we're at the point in society where if you hear someone trying to normalize pedophilia, that's not an uncommon occurrence. Now it's becoming more common where people are trying to normalize bestiality and abusing animals sexually. And that's becoming more and more common.
What? What?
Yeah, no, it's a big thing on Twitter, like zoophiles. Zoophiles or zoophobic. Like,
what's
the
the animal of choice?
Take your pick, apparently.
Oh my gosh.
Don't blame me with my cat girl thing. Nothing to do with that.
It's all Jensen's fault.
I just want that noted right now.
Cat girl is in fact human, right?
Well, there's a thing. We need to make an important distinction on that one. I'm kind of hate myself for even having to make this distinction. We're not talking about furries. We're not talking about anthropomorphic, animals or anything like that. We're not talking about the Looney Tunes. We're talking about people who are trying to normalize literally having sex with their dog because the dog likes it. The dog can give consent. No.
That's the thing. They can't. Oh my gosh. Oh. I'm going to digress again. So speaking of furries, so my husband and I were taking a little trip to our local shop, the one that sells all the fun things for adults. There are butt plugs that literally like have tails coming out of them.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound not hygienic?
If anything, no.
That. It doesn't sound hygienic at all. I've never thought about it, but you bring up a good point.
It's got fur. Like all your other toys, you have to clean them, right? But the fur, it gets me. But for cat girl, might need it.
Yeah, but the whole point is, they do. Think how clean you actually do have to keep those things.
Yes.
The moment the term the butt plug is involved, people will twitch for obvious reasons, and I understand completely why. But there are different types you can get. You can get a belt version of the tail as well. So it's not necessarily bad. And no, Falcon, you are not allowed to burn the furries. They give funny smells.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't smell like barbecue?
No, if it smelled like barbecue, I'd be fine. That'd be nice.
Just rub some like baby rays on it or something.
Yeah, you don't want to discuss about rubbing anything in furries. That's not something anyone wants.
Is it like when you're doing a turkey and you got to get all the seasonings on the inside?
I
Oh,
don't know, but all
no.
I can say is just imagine a furry standing there going gobble gobble.
I'm so sorry, Doku.
I have
I'm
watched
so
the internet.
sorry.
I have watched the internet historian's video on rainforest, and the only thing I can imagine is, God, if that hotel actually burned to the ground, it would smell like diapers for freaking miles.
Oh.
True.
I feel like that's a form of terrorism.
Yes.
You're not wrong.
I don't know what political ideology they're trying to enforce, but there has to be one.
Yeah.
It's at least cruel and unusual punishment. Why does it smell like burning diapers for the next 5 miles?
No, that's not the mental image. The mental image is when the person standing next to you is looking excited at the smell. That's when you know you're in a really bad place and just walk away.
Yeah,
quickly.
you've definitely entered the wrong neighborhood if that happens.
No, that's a really interesting concept, though. I mean, because we know that visual stimulation gets people like in different moods.
Mhm.
Audio, because I know you guys know what a penile pathesmogram
I
is. Have you heard?
no idea.
I know what half of that is. I'm not sure about the other half though.
Okay, you guys are gonna love this. Okay, so this is particularly used with pedophiles,
Okay.
because you want to see if the interventions that you've done when somebody is going through the corrective process have been effective. You can't just like have them look at pictures of children and see if they get a hard on, right? So it's because everybody has their different turn-ons, and so you could show them a child that they're like, oh, that's not what I go for. So what they do is they will have the person hooked up to what's called a penile pathesmogram. So it's kind of like a lie detector for the penis, and they will have sounds of like children playing or talking, or just because then you put this mental imagery in your head, and then like if they get an erection, then you know they clearly still have a problem. But but just the idea of like different smells, I guess lavender is supposed to be one, but I don't think burning diapers. If the person next to you is getting off on burning diapers, it's a problem.
And their name is probably Hunter.
Last name Biden. Yeah, I know.
Or Ethan Klein.
Hey, you know what though? The senior Biden, he likes to smell things.
I know, that's the disturbing part. It actually all fits together really nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Or horrifically is the case. Yeah.
Is it bad that I want to smell Palikaris? Doku? That was my goal. I forgot to snip him.
He probably smells like electronics.
No, baklava.
Oh yeah, he is Greek. Yeah,
baklava, he's Greek.
That would make sense. Okay, you have a point. You know what? I'm not going to judge you as harshly as I normally would.
One moment. Jacob, no, gunshots are well and good, but flamethrowers work as a wonderful cure for paedophilia. It is a really good way of dealing with the problem. Flamethrower. Just suggesting.
I don't know. I'm torn. Because the social worker in me wants to see people be able to be rehabilitated. It's just the rehabilitation rate is not very successful. And so I'm torn.
Hun, wait a minute, Doug. Hun, I don't want to break this to you, but involving this flamethrower, so's a pedo. He is most definitely torn. I'll just leave that mental image there.
I don't know. What about like castration?
Fuel's cheaper.
Apart from that, castration's all well and good, but that only deals with one way of doing it. I mean,
well, no, bluntly, like if you get rid of the scrotum, like if you get rid, then you're going to get rid of a lot of the hormones.
Your wording was a lot of, not all.
Yes.
Which means the person, although they don't necessarily have the genitalia to do it, they could A, wear a strap on, B, do it digitally, 3, orally. Yeah, it's all well and good, but seriously, flamethrower up the ass. Remember, I'm detainees for those are proved, no question. Seriously, all jokes aside now, execution is exactly the correct way to deal with this problem.
I don't know though. There's a thin line. Like, what
What's left of
happens?
them? Oh,
Well,
sorry.
I'm just saying, what if that was the case, and so somebody could be falsely accused of
And that's why I
something?
made it. That's why I made it very clear on the proof.
Okay.
Okay. No, I actually do agree with you. The false claiming of it. In all fairness, false claiming of it, the person actually doing the claim should actually be the recipient of the termination order. Just saying.
I am firmly of the belief that if the punishment for a crime is, A, falsely accusing of someone of the crime should receive the same equivalent punishment as A. It'll be a deterrent for people making false accusations.
Mm-hmm. Miss Murder's got a nice idea with the wood chipper. I agree, it's not too bad, and yes, it does mean you get fertilizer for your garden. And again, your idea of burying things 6 foot deep, we have discussed this. You don't bury people 6 foot deep, you bury them 8 foot deep, then you put a dead dog on the top. There are other things to do, but we would talk about that privately.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I just
So
wanna start a
so
pig
the
farm.
dog is to deter. So if they're like, oh, the cadaver dogs were alerted, and then there's a dead dog, and oh, that's a good idea.
Oh, no, hun. No, what you do is you kill the person, you bury them about 8 foot deep. Directly above them, you scatter kitty litter. No, I'm not joking. A small, basically about 6 inches of earth, dead dog, and then you bury the dog as you would normally at about 6 foot. The hound will go across, sniff, dig up. Oh, look, it's just a dead dog. Of course, it reacted to it. They're not going to go down below it, and that's assuming that there is any smell from the body at all, because after all, kitty litter is scent absorbent. I know, yes, I agree, Miss Murder. We also use lye to help melt the body.
Man, I like Miss Murder. You're pretty
Oh,
cool.
no, she and I have had long conversations on how to deal with problems.
Welcome to Banter, Rants, and Bullshit Syntax. I hope you enjoy your stay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the worst thing is if you think that the conversation we've had so far is unusual, no, that would be classed as a fairly normal chat for us.
Actually, yeah, this is probably one of our more normal streams because I haven't even started yelling at the wall yet.
Yeah, do you actually want to get on with your yelling at the wall thing, by the way?
Well, so the one point, I guess, yeah. Since I said that, I guess I should probably pull us back on the rails a little bit.
Yep.
Moving back to the point, you had asked a question, Jensen. Are people actually going to do anything? Like we've seen society degrade, as all empires do. Eventually, they degrade until they inevitably fall, and something comes and takes its place.
Yeah.
And I've heard people compare the modern United States, or just the entirety of Western society as a whole, to essentially the fall of Rome, where we're drowning in our own decadence and tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had said you're partially correct that most people who they'll see it, they'll talk about it, but they won't actually do anything. So it's just going to continue to degrade.
Yeah.
The reason I say you're partially correct is, yes, it will continue because for the most part, yeah, someone's going to bitch about it. They'll talk about it. They'll make a hashtag on Twitter, but they won't actually do anything.
Yeah.
There always comes a point, though. It's kind of that same mindset of, oh, it happened to that person, but it won't happen to me. There comes a point in time where it's happening to enough people, and enough people are fed up with it, that there will be a pullback, the pendulum will swing, and when those things happen, they usually happen very quickly and very violently, both figuratively and very often literally. Yeah. It's like pulling a rubber band. When that rubber band breaks, it doesn't just snap back. It snaps back and it slaps you on the face. And I think we're getting very close to that.
So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're getting very close to that point where it's like, look, I've put up with your bullshit. I've expressed my displeasure with your bullshit, and it ain't stopping. There will come a point in time where people are going to say, you know what? Enough's enough. If you're not going to stop, and me telling you to stop is not enough to make you stop, I am going to make you stop by force if necessary. We are
that
approaching
was
that.
the problem. Well, exactly what you said there is the problem. By force if necessary. And the problem is how much force are you willing to do to cause these others to leave you alone, and how much force are they willing to do to exert their will upon you?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, somebody listening to this conversation would say, "Oh my gosh, they're terrorists," right? Because of the conversation that we're having. I mean, there's definitely a fear, and like Doku was saying, as soon as people start experiencing that fear for themselves, then they get enlightened and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is happening." I think there is going to be a point where people rise up. I mean, we're seeing it all over the world with vaccinations and masks and stay home mandates and that sort of thing, but it spills over to so many other categories. And I think they're trying to suppress it. I mean, Google searches, social media, they're trying desperately to suppress it, but people are learning.
Well, I'll put it to you this way, and this might get me in trouble, and if it does, to be blunt, I don't really care. There is one ideological side of the coin that has been saying, brand this person said thing and use that as a justification to go punch them in the face. I am not of that ideological persuasion. You can, my whole stance on things has been debate people, mock them if necessary, engage in a civil, but still, as I would normally do, yell at the wall, call them fucking idiots, call them morons, point out their own hypocrisy, let them dig their own graves. Proverbially speaking, YouTube, calm the fuck down.
You don't do that though. I mean, maybe on this, but you interact gracefully and you have, good conversations. Once you start getting defensive and yelling and using you statements, that's when you lose people, and that's when they start putting up their walls, and that's where you get sides. It's trying to find the middle path, like what's my commonality. And when
people start doing what you're talking about, that's when I actually choose to engage them in the sense of, you agree with this, or this is your stance, so then you must agree with this, because if you don't, then there's a clear double standard, there's hypocrisy, and that's when people usually shut down and just don't respond. That's the approach I usually try to take. Unfortunately, because people generally shut down because either A, they just want to be right, B, they just don't consider your opinion valid whatsoever, or C, they're just stuck in hubris. It's usually one of the three. Because people, let's be honest, nobody likes to admit when they're wrong. It's a bad feeling. Nobody likes it.
Well, their paradigm is being challenged, and that's scary.
Well, exactly. You're challenging their worldview, or it's like, yeah, but did you think about it? This, like, people don't like that. They don't like the pushback. They don't like criticism. But the problem is, because a lot of our social discourse takes place on the internet, for better or worse, people have the option to just disengage or not talk about it, not think about it. But when it goes into the real world, you can't just walk away from someone who's yelling in your face and then choosing to follow you down the street. And again, I'm not the person who's advocating for doing this, but when that escalates to the point where this person, is choosing to not engage with me, or they have a certain flag or a certain political belief, or they're wearing a hat, which distinguishes them as someone that I ideologically disagree with, then that means it's okay to go ahead and punch them in the face. Well, guess what? You do that enough times to enough people, don't be surprised when they start hitting back. And for quite some time, I'll just say the other ideological side of the coin should be very, very thankful that those that they consider to be terrorists or Nazis or whatever buzzword you want to use aren't nearly as violent or willing to resort to violence as they are. Because if they were, the world would look a lot different by now. And my fear is that it's become so normalized, and that they actually have been protected by people in positions of power who wield the power of the state to defend these individuals because they happen to be ideologically in agreement. It is going to get to the point where you only get punched in the face so many times before you realize, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm tired of getting punched in the face. I'm going to start punching back. And then you see how the power of the state is wielded against you. Well, guess who you think the next target of their vitriol and anger is going to be?
I'm starting to think about the January 6th riots as you're talking about this.
Again, we should have. Anyone who's been paying attention and actually thinks this through logically and is not stuck in an ideological paradigm where it's just tribalism, only my side can do this and it's right, but when the other side does it, it's wrong. When you consider how things have escalated and who's the one doing the escalation and who's backing them up and who's supporting them, most people are not going to be engaged in that because, to be blunt, the majority of people, regardless if you're left-leaning, right-leaning, or center, they have other things to do. They're not paying attention to this type of stuff. They're not talking about it. And a lot of people, even if they have the time, well, I think that it's two things. Either A, they're too busy to be concerned with it, or they don't want to pay attention to it because it's uncomfortable. Nobody likes to see the field is burning. And
I kind of disagree with you.
Well, I think for a very long time, people would rather bury their heads in the sand rather than to acknowledge the fact that, guess what? The frickin' desert's on fire. Burying your head in the sand is not going to fix the problem. And I think it's actually escalated to the point where it's impossible to ignore. So one of two outcomes is going to happen, and this is my opinion. Either things are going to continue to escalate until it reaches a boiling point, and then bad things are obviously going to happen, or both sides realize escalating to that boiling point very quickly and decide maybe the alternative of peaceful discourse is the better option. Now, I don't believe that's going to happen simply because at least my side of the ideological argument has been trying to say, look, we're going too far down the rabbit hole. We need to stop and rethink things before we take another step forward. But the other side isn't stopping. They see the end of the track. They see the finish line. They want to run past it, regardless of what happens. They're that desperate to maintain ultimate power and control that they're willing to do anything to pass that finish line. And what I'm trying to warn about is there's going to be someone who's going to trip you and make you break your fucking nose before you cross that finish line because you keep punching them and keep holding them back. You can, again, back to my original point, I know I'm rambling. You can only push people so far before they finally decide to say, you know what, fuck you. You say by any means necessary, mutual agreement, by any means necessary. Let's go.
So backed in the corner. So what I disagree with, though, is, I think that we've become hyperpolarized on both ends because I'm finding it very difficult. I think I'm fairly centered. I may lean a little bit more right, but I'm finding it very hard to have conversations with people who haven't subscribed to like a radical version on either end. Because I think that we're so opposed to the other party or the other belief system that we like double down and go even more radical on our side. Does that make sense at all?
No, it does. And I tend to agree with you because unfortunately, most people who are center, and I'm going to ignore the overt and window shifting too far to one direction or the other makes the other side the extreme. But I do believe that when you're challenged by a radical element of any political ideology or social ideology, the go-to defense mechanism is to radicalize in the opposite direction.
Oh, yeah. Like oppression and all that will make you... There's a saying by Paulo Freire. He's a Brazilian philosopher, and he was talking about the pedagogy of oppressed, and he says that there's a time where those who have been oppressed then will become the oppressors. So it becomes like this seesaw of power dynamics, right? And I think that's what we see in our political realm. And we can't come together and find what's called a mindful middle path, like a common ground, because we're so stuck on this polarized view. And I think that that's what we're seeing.
Before you do, Doku, I'd like to defend you here. Bollocks has made some accusations at you, and I don't think it's acceptable. I'm sorry, Bollocks, you're wrong. Doku, you're not smart, mate. Don't you worry, I'm going to defend you here. You don't count as smart at all right? You take that back, Bollocks. He is not smart, and he knows it. Isn't that right, Doku?
Oh, if anybody thinks I'm smart, then I would like
need
to know
help.
how many times you were dropped on your head as a child.
I don't know. I'll stop counting at 10. What?
Oh, now that's just mean, Jensen. But no, Syntax did have a good point. Or I do believe that society goes through I'm probably going to butcher the word. I'm not using it properly, so forgive me or don't. It's your choice. We oscillate. Things contract and they expand rapidly. As far as like social tensions go, like go back to the 1950s, 1960s civil rights movement. Society was in very distinct upheaval. Immediately following that upheaval, though, things kind of had a period of calm. Notice how quickly that period of calm immediately moves back to a period of social tension. And I believe this is not just unique to the United States or our current era in history, but throughout history, we have these ups and downs throughout society. And right now we're going through an up period of heightened social tension. And either it's going to de-escalate very rapidly or it's going to snap and we basically set things back to even or zero, whatever you want to call it. And we start again. And that usually, unfortunately, when things do snap and get reset, you do find societies tend to become more oppressive. They put down the people who are creating social unrest. You see it through rebellions, like the people who like incite rebellion, who are the first person or the first people that actually get, taken out of that society. The ones who caused the rebellion and the social upheaval in the first place. It's a forced peaceful state. And then through that forced peaceful state, through that peaceful oppression, society over a given period of time becomes more and more discontent with the status quo and how society is progressing. And you build that civil unrest until it boils over, and then you end up with the same pattern over and over and over again. I think that's just the natural course of society and human nature. So the preferred outcome would be a peaceful de-escalation of the social tension as opposed to letting everything just kind of go to shit. But unfortunately, not everybody is going to agree with that. So the question becomes, how many people want to watch it all burn versus how many people want to actually stop it from burning? And the majority opinion tends to win how that direction is going to go.
I think we're going to see that in the markets too.
I think the real question is, can Doku see his screen?
Doku is smirt. I am the smirt. I smoke the long hair and has the pipe.
He's the smartest.
I love that. It's the fact that you perm your pubic hair. Is there something you want to tell me, mate?
Oh no, I braid it. I mean,
I know you braid it. I've seen pictures.
Oh yeah, I put beads in it and everything. Like if I'm feeling really, really bedazzly, I put some little rhinestones. It jingles. It jingles when I walk.
I'm just gonna remind you. You show me the picture involving the whiskey bottle. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen the pictures. So
Hey, you know what? I always say it, and I never take my own advice. Never drink an internet because somebody's going to give you a dare or a challenge, and you're going to be too drunk to say no.
Candid now is very interested in what's going on. Oh yes, Candid. Maybe one day we'll tell you about it, or maybe we'll talk about cigarettes. Isn't that right, Doku?
I will neither confirm nor deny, but I will say booze is a powerful thing. Booze will make you do things that you would never do sober.
Rubbish. You'd do them sober as well.
Yeah, depending on if I'm in a good mood or not.
Yeah,
Hey, question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I just took out my headphones because it was not working very well. You kept breaking up.
Okay. Dr. Bollocks has suggested, are you Jack Murphy, Doku? Is there anything you want to tell us, mate?
Oh, now that's just, oh God, would I ever to devolve? My degeneracy I do not make other people pay for. That's just rude.
That's better.
I might be a degenerate, but I'm not going to make people subscribe to an OnlyFans. I still have some pride left. Damn, give me a little bit of
I
credit.
just learned what that was. That's like when you do porn, right?
Kinda. It's
Kinda?
not.
It was
Not quite porn.
It wasn't supposed to be that way, but give it to the internet, and well, Rule 34 is a thing for a reason.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Syntax, do you know what Rule 34 is? We might have lost her.
Oh, well.
In
Or
case
she's
she's
looking it up.
listening, if she's listening, if it exists, then there's porn of it on the internet.
No!
It's true. Actually, that's the problem. It's true.
I mean, let's be fair. Part of me is disgusted, but the other part of me admires the creativity. Because
Can you
I
hear
have
me now?
Yeah, we got you, hon.
Yep. So, Syntax, do you know what Rule 34 is?
And we've lost. Again. Well,
It wouldn't be a
yeah.
normal It wouldn't be a normal red eye stream if there weren't technical difficulties.
This
Okay,
is a fact.
but you can hear me now, right?
I
Yep.
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh my
hon?
god,
I think she
I
can't
think I
hear
have a
us.
vortex. But I was screaming. I was like, no, don't go away without telling me what Rule 34 is, because I don't know.
So Rule 34.
What is it?
If it exists, then there is porn of it on the internet.
What do you mean? Like, if it exists, there's porn of it on. Oh, like if there's. Oh,
If
like
you
a
can imagine,
fetish.
the accurate statement is, if you can imagine it, there is porn of it on the internet.
I'll put it to you this way. There is a very large and very popular deviant art account that draws nothing but exclusively cars having sex with each other. And I'm not talking anthropomorphic. It's cars engaged in sexual positions.
What?
This is a thing.
Oh, no.
It's-
My
that
Google searches are going to be so weird.
You're welcome.
What? No way.
I feel like Syntax was somewhat innocent before she actually joined these streams.
No. I'll actually check if she's innocent. Sin, do you know what hentai is? If the answer to that is no, then you're innocent. Absolute silence. Okay.
She's probably looking it up.
Yeah. But
Jensen, are we
Go on.
corrupting influences?
Wait, what's hang
Oh, I
tie?
hope so.
What is that?
Oh my god.
That answers my question.
I don't even know what bullocks is, and I was like, I think that's a slang in Jensen speak for something naughty, but I don't even know what that is.
Bollocks are your testes.
Okay,
And
that makes sense.
you know what? I think it's better for your own personal sanity. I'm an evil bastard. Look up hentai and experience it.
I'm looking it up. I've got my phone. Okay. Okay, Google. And it's just like you would spell HANG.
HANTAI. Hentai.
Oh,
Enjoy.
Oh, Falcon.
not hantavirus.
No.
Do I have to have my parental controls off of my Google search?
Yes, you do. I think the best description I can give you without giving it all away is tentacles. End statement. Are you okay with that, Doku? You are, after all, the expert when it comes to anime.
I take no responsibility for this one way or another.
Okie dokie. We'll know because you'll start screaming.
It's telling me unscramble words. Hang tie.
HENTAI. Okay, that's all you have to do. If you can't find hentai, then there is something really disturbing going on with the internet.
Either that or you got a really impressive firewall, and I need to know what company produced it because I'm buying stock in them.
Falcon says, please tell her. No, Falcon. It's much more fun that the person experiences it themselves. That way, it's not my fault. Yes, it's a form of cowardice, and I just really enjoy it when people actually look stuff up and scream into their arm. It's kind of fun.
Jensen likes the live reaction.
Yes, I do actually. Nothing better than reaction. By the way, Doku, if you actually ever want to learn about how fun it's going to be once we actually get the internet going the way it probably will end up. Look up there's a TV series called Caprica. Okay.
I feel like I've heard of that.
Okay. Well, they log in to the net, and their version of the net describes exactly. Hello, she's back. I think she just died.
I'm not
Hey,
dead.
hon.
It's my internet. I think it's because my husband's on a meeting, and so we're
No
fighting
problem.
for our bandwidth.
No worries. No worries. To be honest, we'll bring it to an end soon. We'll be going for an hour and 40. So enjoy hentai when you finally are able to look it up, and just let me know how much screaming you did. And
Really?
let's see if it. Oh no. It's something. I don't.
HANTI.
TAI. Tango Alpha India.
You know, I asked if we were corrupting influences, but
Yes.
the last couple of minutes has answered my question in more ways than I could have possibly hoped for.
She still hasn't screamed.
I guess I just am not experienced. I don't know. How do you learn these things? Where am I not learning?
Have you watched any anime?
Okay, so when I was like 12 and 13, I really liked Sailor Moon. That's about it. Oh, and Avatar is considered anime, right?
Okay. Without horrifying you too much, because I am about to possibly break your brain at this, but there is hentai involving Sailor Moon.
There's hentai involving everything that's popular, let's be honest.
This is
Like
a fair
where
statement.
people get off on it?
Oh yeah. No bollocks. She really doesn't need to talk to my sister. That's not fair to her. Nobody deserves having to talk to my sister. Hell, I try to avoid it.
I almost feel bad for exposing syntax to this corner of the internet because we're absolute degenerates.
Yes.
And I'm talking to you, Chad, as well, especially Bollocks and Falcon.
But do you have anything else you want to say, mate? Because I'm going to bring it to an end because of the time.
Okay.
The only other thing I want to say is anyone who still trusts Dr. Fauci is a fucking moron.
Agreed.
I think I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. Oh, but I would like to see how much money he's made from different entities.
Oh, good God. He's been raking in the cash because what's happened. We all know this. It's not even funny trying to work that out.
You know, part of me actually feels kind of bad because somehow I still have a moral compass. I don't know how. Don't ask me how. But I did suggest to several people 2 years ago, buy Amazon, buy Walmart, buy Pfizer, buy Johnson & Johnson, buy 3M.
Yeah.
And apparently that made a lot of people a lot of money. And I feel bad about it. But as the saying goes, don't hate the player, hate the game. I'm not the one that set the fucking rules.
Mm-hmm.
I just know how to make money off of it, even if it's scummy and abhorrent and I detest it through every fiber of my being. It's not like me protesting it's going to stop it. So I might as well make money off of it.
Well, before we close, because I googled, what is tentacle sex?
I'll give you a clue. What do you think it is? If you take it very, very literally, you're not wrong. She's got to be trolling. She has to be trolling, Doku.
Animals. Man, you guys are crazy.
Oh, yes.
I'm never going to be able to eat at like a seafood buffet again.
Correct. They're going to say calamari and you're going to scream for about half an hour. By the way, if you ever really want to melt your brain, there is actually a thing out there about a Japanese young lady giving birth to an octopus. And it's live action.
Because they stuff it up her?
Yes.
Oh, that's so sad. That's like the
I feel sorry for
cultural
the octopus.
equivalent of the donkey show.
Yes.
I know what that is. See?
Oh,
I'm
yes.
not that innocent.
Well, you're definitely a lot less innocent now, and the more we keep bringing you around the show, trust me, any shred of innocence that you have will be thoroughly destroyed with the utmost prejudice.
Welcome to the dark side. We have cookies.
At least our cookies taste good, and we actually know how to cook. Unlike frickin' AOC, who doesn't even know what a frickin' garbage disposal is.
Yeah, well. Anyway.
I'm
I'll
sorry.
go-
You can close it up.
Yeah, no problem, hon. You know, funny enough, that's actually what they usually say with hentai as well. But anyway. I had to. Right. Thank you very much for coming on, the pair of you. We definitely had a bit of a chuckle, especially at the end, because hentai. And thank you very much, all of you, for coming and listening to us drivel on for absolutely ages. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye,
Wiggle,
everybody.
wiggle, 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 slap and tickle.